questions that we started this morning, please bear with me while I ask another question or two. I know that we may not get to this really loving, lovely place we were in the first couple of days when we were together. I can appreciate that. I mean, I may have destroyed the trust in the group in such a way, but I intend to continue to offer you the clearest possible explorations that I can provide. So unless you as a group decide that you should send me home, and then you can do that too. Okay, I'll stay. But it has to be an agreement. All right. All right. So please, as you're lying there, and if you can, just lie in such a way that your arms are to your side and without, just for the moment, so you can, again, answer this question. And if you were to roll to sit up, which way would you roll? And pay attention. The floor is telling you, your relationship with the floor tells you which way would be easiest for you to go. The very nature of the way that your ribs, your pelvis, your feet, your heels, the way your shoulders, the way your spine twists, where your head is within yourself is the indication as to where would be the easiest to go. You're reading your own experience. And you're reading your experience based on what the floor is providing you. Maybe there's other things that you're using as well. Now, let me ask this question for you. If you were to roll on your stomach, which way would you roll? And find for yourself, is it the same? Is it the same if you were to roll to sit up or you were to roll to your stomach? Who finds it to be different? Well over half. Yeah. That there's something quite different in their experience, in the way that the floor, in the way that you sense yourself relative to how you'll find the surface to move on. Yes? All right, will you please make the and let me invite you, the very smallest movement to initiate rolling to sit up, and pay attention to the direction. Some of you guys have gone already miles. Your head's completely turned and arms are moving and everything. This is the very first. What's the earliest moment you can detect the motor plan arising? The motor plan can be found and discovered without leading to movement. And please just listen to the rising of the motor plan. It means the way that your head begins to turn, the way that your shoulders and chest and back, the way your pelvis begins to move. Everything in the motor plan begins to tell you in which way your knees will participate, how your heels will change, where you'll find support. Yeah. Now leave that completely for a moment. And how will you stop that completely? What will you do? Now observe for yourself the earliest moment that you can detect the movement for rolling to your stomach. You can watch like a fine wine flowering. You can watch the motor plan, the initiation, the way that everything in your system, your body, your musculature, your fascia, the way the knees, your skeleton, the way that you start to organize. And you can watch the beginning of this and come back and rest. Rest in the space that's not this and not that. Just for the moment, rest in the place that's not this and not that. It's very Buddhist. Yeah. Neti, not this, not that. And then just for the moment, go back and forth between the motor plan as it arises for rolling to sit, and come back and suspend it, and go to the other movement of rolling to your stomach. Even if you're rolling to the same side, each of the movements will be different. All right, please leave that for a moment. And let's watch for a moment. Let's return for a moment to finding some point of not this, not that. So just for the moment, if you'd like to, you can trace a line from the crown of your head, forward through your forehead, through between your eyebrows, down along the length of your nose, dividing your nose, along through your upper lip, through the middle of your lips, in such a way that you trace a line either in your imagination or with your finger, in which you exactly trace the line that divides right and left. And this line, when you really examine it, is infinitely thin. The difference between right and left is nothing other than a microsecond. Yeah. And so please continue the tracing. Divide your sternum, divide your abdomen, divide your pubic bone, divide the space of yourself between right and left, so that at any point along the line, you can have your fingers to the right, you can have your fingers to the left, or you can find within yourself some internal quality or representation that's not right or not left. It's a particular quality. And please now, somewhere within yourself, maybe in your forehead or within your face, because it's sometimes easiest, will you please rest in it's an infinitely thin line, but in such a way that you sense that the right is to the right and the left is to the left, but you're not in the place of either. And as you enter into this place of not this and not that, please notice within yourself your experience, your sense of composure, the mental activity that's taking place. And then would you please begin to shift your attention to the right, which means to shift your attention, move your attention from the point that's not this and not that to the right, and begin to watch within yourself all of the activity that takes for you to move to the right, and shift and sense your right side. Sense your right temple, the right side of your face, your cheekbone, the right side of your lip, the right side of your nose, your right ear, the right side of your neck. And sense into your chest, your ribs, your torso, the right of your pubic bone, your right leg. And sense the right. It has its own composition. It has, in a sense, its own innervation, its own activity. It's regulated by your left hemisphere. Yeah. And please withdraw, like a tide receding, withdraw, please, from the right back to the place that's not right or not left. And then please, from that moment, from that internal quality that's not right or not left, this particular resting point. We've done this. We exhaled and waited. Here we're in the place again of not right and not left. Will you please now shift your attention and your focus to the left? And take in the experience of the left side of your temple and the left side of your face, the left side of your nose, the left side of your cheek, your throat, your ear, your shoulder, your ribs. And take in the experience of left. Through your pelvis, through your leg, through your ankles, through your heels. Take in the experience of left. And then please recede again for the moment to the experience of not right and not left. Now you can do this with anything. You can do this with front and back. You can do this with up and down. You can do this with forward and back. You can do this with any opposite. Now please, for a moment, shift to the right and come back and wait for a moment. Shift to the left, come back and wait for a moment, so that you have a clear sense of the property of shifting and being in the microsecond between the two. Now, please, for a moment, begin to roll your head a little bit. Wait. Please, for the moment, roll your head a little to the right and come back and wait, and a little bit to the left and come back and wait. So you begin the movement of rolling and then stopping at the place that's not right and not left, and then to the left. And you come back. And you notice how it is that the difference in the experience of yourself, rolling and finding support as you roll to the right, and the rolling of your head to the left. Just take a little moment. Really refined attention to the smallest details. Now, please, if you will, begin to slide your left arm in an arc up as if to move from down by your pelvis in an arc, as if your left arm is going to slide up and over your head. So please begin to make the movement. If you have a lot of camping gear around yourself, and rollers and water bottles and glasses and glass cases, please take all the camping gear off the floor, move it so that it's not going to be something that's going to be a part of what you have to pay attention to. If you need to move in such a way that your hands won't be hitting posts and pillars and tables and other people, then there's enough room here in the room to move to the place where you'll be able to and please begin to make the movement, starting with your legs long, your arms to the side, and please begin to swing your arm in an arc, your left arm in an arc overhead, on the floor to the degree that it's possible, so that you're sliding your arm in an arc parallel to the floor, over the floor, sliding your arm in an arc, And at the moment that you stop the movement, just in the place that's not right and not left, your arm comes over the top only to the point that you sense that it's not right and not left. You haven't gone over to the right yet. And when your fingertip reaches that point where you're about to go over to the right, please begin to pay attention to the sense of organization on which your whole body is going to begin to turn to the right. Now, turning to the right means turning towards the fetal position. It means turning as if to arrive in the fetal position. It means that as you roll, you'll be bending you'll fold your right knee. Wait. Carefully. This is not a mechanical process. We want to watch this organically unfold. As your hand crosses over the top, watch what unfolds. When does your right knee begin to bend? How does your left knee? What happens in the way that you start to find weight in your right shoulder, in the way that your ribs begin to roll to the floor? How will your right arm begin to move in such a way that it'll come toward the fetal position? It means that your right hand will come up. And so you watch, and if you can, please make 10, 15 little movements, each movement going a little further, a little further, a little further. And as you watch the movement unfold, you see the timing and you pay attention. Do you need to find some point of purchase against the ground from which to push? Or can you make a sequential transition over the ground so that no place that you don't have to use your heels, you don't have to use anything to push, that you can find some way of sequentially. If you find that you're pressing your heel, stop again, go back. If you have to raise your foot so that you can put your foot on the floor, so that you can press your foot, stop again. It's a question of how can you sequentially roll over yourself into the fetal position so that your right hand comes on top of your left, your right elbow comes under your left, your right hand comes under your left elbow comes onto your right, your left knee comes on top of your right, and you make the movement. As you come over the top, with your left hand over the top, in what direction does your right shoulder move? And as you come over the top, the moment that you come over the top, in what direction does your head begin to roll? This movement can be found in such a way that the rolling can be generated. And it really is a question in the rolling, and we'll look at that. As you come over the top, come to the fetal position. And from the fetal position, will you please explore this for a moment? Come to the fetal position and explore this for a moment. Explore this movement in such a way that your left hand and your left knee, your left foot and your left elbow lengthen away from each other. Your left foot lengthens down and back, and you lengthen your left side, and you begin to roll to your back. And then please take the movement from this position all the way down to both hands being beside yourself. Stop. Don't go to the other side yet. Don't go to the other side yet. I know it's easy. This is a lesson that you've done many times. There's elements in this lesson to explore that we haven't so much explored. Please come and lie on your back again for a moment. Rest for a moment. Sense now the latent message within yourself of rolling to the right. And now please begin to slide your right arm in an arc overhead and stop at the point where it's not right and not left. Just slide your arm in an arc overhead. Stop at the point where at the top, where you think it's not right and not left. And sense for yourself the beginning of the organization of going to the left. And then begin to keep the movement going until you can roll a little bit to the left. Until after 3 or 4 movements, then you come to the place of resting in the fetal position to the left. And come and rest in the fetal position on the left. And begin to take your right arm, your right hand, your right knee, your right elbow, your right foot apart from each other, sliding your right foot behind until you begin to roll to your back. And come back to the fetal position to your left once or twice, making the whole movement. Observing for yourself when at the end of the movement that you come into the fetal position, whether you fall into it, or at the moment that you roll onto your back, whether you fall into rolling onto your back. Now please lie on your left side within the fetal position. Begin to unfold so that your right arm begins to unfold, and you come until you unfold to the point that your right side is as long as possible. So you start with your left side and your right side becomes long, 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 and you come to the point of lying on your back. And the moment that your right side is at its longest, bring your left hand upwards so that your left hand comes upward, and so both arms are long, so that you can make this into a flowering movement. And you wait at this moment when both sides are long. One side becomes long, and then the other side becomes long. And at the moment that the left side becomes longest is the moment that you begin to fold the right side. So you wait, and the left side lengthens and lengthens and lengthens, and the only way that it can continue to lengthen is by folding the left side until it brings you to the lying on your right side. It's in these very lessons that when you're touching someone that you determine which knee did they injure. Because if it's not a part of their self-image, it'll just wait. And it'll wait and wait. Something will lag within themselves. So please make this movement to go to the right and then to the left. One side lengthening, the other side shortening, the other side lengthening, 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 so that you go from lengthening to shortening and then from lengthening to shortening. So it's like opening yourself over and over and over again from one to the other. And as you make the movement now, can you determine something within you? There's some way within you that you begin to recognize and notice that you make the differently going one side to the other. Maybe yes, maybe no. Again, it's to begin to notice. And the noticing can be when you make the determination is exactly that place that's not right and not left. You watch very carefully as you make this movement and you begin to roll. Maybe you can determine what's different about how you make it. All right, will you please form groups of 3 or 4 people? And without me giving any more hints, will you please watch the transition from one side to the other that people make? When they roll, when they lengthen themselves to the point that their arms and their legs are at the longest point, and at that point where when they're on their back and they're at the longest point, and they start the transition towards shortening one side, and they make the transition, and then if they wanted to go to the other side, the moment they start to shorten yourself, will you start to watch the transition as to how people make the movement from one side to the other? And create a theory, what you see. So take a few moments and begin to watch. Just the starting to go one way and starting to go the other way. So if you can just keep playing with the movement to go one way and then the other way, right from there, yeah. You can have both hands up if you want. That's it, like that. That's it. And come back slowly. Stop. Look at that shape. Look at that shape. And come back. Keep coming. Make it smooth from one to the other. That's it. Look at that shape. Yeah. Come across. Look at that shape. Yeah. It's going to be a really long time for her to get her head over her knee if she's going to get up and sit, isn't she? Yeah. If she was going to sit over herself, it would take a long time to get up on her left side. Now roll across and come all the way up to sitting on your right side. So you could see that there was a moment where she had to put a lot of pressure on her elbow, and the transition lost some of its quality, and she fell right there. Yeah, there was this moment there, if you watch, she fell. Yeah, just start to notice these details. If she's going to keep herself from falling, what's she going to have to do? That's what she's going to have to do. But if she puts her up, now that's going to be heavy. Her whole torso is going to be out there, way out there, but that's not what we're studying right now. We'll study that later. Now stop and come back and just come back exactly in that shape that you just made. Now you see, in the shape, her head went away. Now, when she made this movement, she made the movement in such a way that she could be right here. Yeah. But the most important thing that's interesting at this point in time is that as she starts this movement, her head starts in that arc right there. She starts to hold it back at some point in time. But the initial part of the arc is for her head to come forward. And you see the abdomen and everything begins to fold and round. Yes? Now let's watch as she goes over the top of the arc again. There are elements within the movement. Go the other way, sorry. And right here, watch carefully under here, watch what wants to happen. Her abdomen wants to go forward here. She makes some kind of a movement that as she makes the movement, her abdomen, watch how long her head hangs back now. Yeah, okay. Now she made that beautifully, that movement to go down. Yes. But would you even make the movement that way to go back up? It's in pieces, isn't it? Okay. So there's things for us to look at. Does someone else have a clear image of partway in the middle, in the very beginning of that movement? You? No? Someone else? An odd one? Okay. Well, we're just start with both hands up. Start with both hands up just for the moment. Yeah, go ahead and just roll whichever way you want. It's very different. Who can tell me the difference? The difference. Stop. What's that shape? Wait. You have to, please stop when I, yeah, okay. Please go ahead and start the movement again. Stop. What's lifting? Yes, and watch the way that the power in her lower leg, the way that her back comes, the way that her abdomen comes, the way her sternum lifts, and where that makes it so that her head stays. Just make the very first part of it. Go ahead. Uh-oh. Yes, that. The way that her head starts to actually glide backwards. Yeah? All this going forward makes it so that her head starts to glide backwards. Yes, now you've heard me. That's okay. Just do. It's okay. That's enough. Now come back to the other side. It's already there. That's it. Where's her head going now? Backwards or forwards? Forwards. Ah. It's okay. It's okay. But when that's it. That. Yes. And you see that very movement. Look at how that completely changes her whole configuration in her back and her torso. That's a completely different set of possibilities. If she folded that and she really followed it, bring your elbows together and your knees. That's it. So she could be all the way. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. That's it. And then the other side is different right there. Look where her head goes. Ah. Just watch. It's very, very interesting to start to see the immediacy. The weight of her head, even where it is, invites her to start to lift and to bring her abdomen forward, or her abdomen and the way her legs are organized. So now we're seeing the same thing. All right. What do you say we take a quick break, come back, and we'll explore a little bit more? Okay? All right.